Victoria's Liberal opposition leader, Matthew Guy, is under siege. Underperforming and failing as a recycled leader who was brought back in 2020 to instill hope and rejuvenate the party, and is now just 100 days out from a state election, and the party is in turmoil. Matthews has failed to deliver what the party hoped. Instead, we've had senior resignations, integrity issues, power plays, leaks, and now he has a junior media team advising Guy. The party is self-destructing, and newsflash media guru and former 7 News boss Steve Carey says it's a train wreck. And joining us to discuss what the goings on within Victoria State Liberal Party is that very Steve Carey. Welcome, Steve.
G'day, I'm coming to you from a different location today, mate. I'm actually supporting a local business, which both sides of politics say they want to do and should be doing. I'm in a little cafe, 99% cafe at Essex Road in Mount Waverley. There's the ad, but I've been coming here right throughout the pandemic when we're out of lockdown. The reason I say that is that everybody's struggling. So part of politics today is how we look after the little people, how we look after those people who are desperately needing help. And that's where the sideshow of politics is becoming, I think, a little frustrating to a lot of people.
And let's not forget, Steve, that more than 96% of our entire economy runs on small business. And out of that small
exactly
business,
right.
66% of them don't employ anyone. So they're like the cafe that you're sitting in where they're family run. And if that business fails, often the house goes, the family fails, and the flow on is just horrific.
Yeah, well, the person here has been working 7 days a week. She runs it by herself. She's an absolute dynamo, and you're exactly right. Supports the family, does everything else. It's quite extraordinary when you think about it. And these little people, and what I find also amazing is the level now of a bit of vitriol on social media. People saying, oh, stop whinging, get on with it. Well, that's all very easy to say when you're latte sipping somewhere and you're on a good wage. But these people are really, a lot of them are, close to the bone financially. They need support and they deserve support. And that's why this coming state election is very, very important to them. It's going to tell them what their future holds in terms of where those political parties say they can help small business, which, as you say, is the powerhouse of the economy.
And let's not forget, Steve, while there's overwhelming support, or there was overwhelming support for increasing the minimum wage, I've been a small businessman nearly all of my life. And as far as minimum wage goes, there have been weeks where I haven't taken a wage, not 1 cent, to make sure that employees were paid and, creditors were paid. And so, let's get behind small business. As you said, 99% in Glen Waverley. Glen Waverley or Mount Waverley?
No, it's Mount Waverley. 99% cafe in Mount Waverley. So, I've been coming here to support them. We won't get a discount, but you will get great service.
All right, Steve, what do you make of what's taken place with the resignation of Guy's senior media advisor and the, putting the pressure on the donors to top up wages?
Well, it's an extraordinary story, isn't it? It comes at a time, 100 or so days out from election, where you would think everything was running smoothly. These are the last kind of things you ever want, not just coming into a campaign, but at any time. And it's quite amazing that 2 of the most senior people within the state Liberal Party machine have either had to resign or have walked away. So you've got Mitch Catlin, a very, very experienced PR and ex-journo person who resigned as the chief of staff after that scandal involving alleged donations being requested. Who knows what the situation will be with that? That'll run its course. And then you've got Lee Anderson, a former long-standing 7 News executive who had been running basically the entire comms unit, and he knows what he's doing. So he's walked away, citing, that there was too much trouble, too much time away from home. If you read between the lines, I don't know too many people that take on that kind of job and then walk away for whatever reason, 100 days out or so from an election. So that there's a lot more behind the background than we're hearing and seeing in print.
Yeah, the old retiring to spend more time with the family is a well-trodden path. That
look, it is, and look, it is a well-trodden path, and there may be a lot of truth to that. There may well be. Who are we to say whether there is or isn't? But what I do know is somebody of that experience, I've known Lee, and somebody of that experience, very, very good operator, knows how the media work, knows how to place stories and get the job done. He's left. So that leaves, whichever way you cut it, Those two senior guys leaving at this point leaves a vacuum, and it leaves a vacuum of experience and decades of experience. So what the Liberals now have is a lot of chatter about, within the party and externally. There's a lot of chatter now about, can they do it? Can they get over the line? Have they got the strategy in place? Who's going to, bring that strategy? And it's a very junior comms team now that's been left to deal with that. So, and they've got a lot of questions which are swirling around. I mean, the one thing you can say about the Dan Andrews Labor government is that they are absolutely brilliant at targeting weakness, and they're very good at spinning stuff. So, the Liberals face a formidable challenge now, and they already did.
Is this going to be a matter when we're talking about integrity? Every time one side throws a right cross, the other side counters with a left hook. Should they leave this alone? Is that the strategy they're going with? We'll keep belting each other so that it becomes no comparison, no point of difference.
I think the real issue here, Michael, is that less about who's throwing a right cross and a left hook. I think it becomes, where does the public see this story going in terms of what do they want to talk about? Are they getting tired of the integrity issues? I don't know that they're getting tired of integrity, but I think you've got to match that with real, honest policy. What are you going to do for small business? How are you going to help people in local council areas that are screaming for help? How are you going to make sure that roads are built? How are you going to make sure that, we don't pay excessive tolls? How are we going to make sure that the CBD comes back to life? All those things, mate, are very important to people. Crime, for example, is absolutely, that's a real touchstone to me anyway. But the economy, those basic things of jobs, how you put food on the table, how you pay the mortgage, those are the big issues, I think, that when we get down to street brawling over integrity issues, and who's going to deliver what in terms of that aspect, it's important. But is it the big key? To me, I want to know how I'm going to support my family, how I'm going to maintain my job, how I'm going to put petrol in the car. Those things become really important, I think.
Could this be an opportunity for a Bradbury to happen where both sides fall off the finish line?
Are you going to throw your hat in the ring, Mike?
Some announcements to come there, Steve. But
I have to be well sourced, mate. I have to be well sourced, and I would say, are you going to throw your hat in the ring, Mike?
I've put my hand up, Steve. I can no longer sit on the side. My 10-year-old daughter always says to me, Dad, remember you say, why isn't someone doing something? Well, apparently I'm someone, and she pesters. So,
all right.
Announcement to come, Steve.
Very, very good. I noticed today, I noticed today in the paper, in the Herald Sun, that there are two new parties coming. So there's the New Democrats and there's the Angry Victorians Party. So I hope you're not going for either one of those, but it'll be interesting reading when you make your announcement, mate.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. No, neither one of those. We saw the Teals or the branded Teals play a part. Is this an opportunity? And we saw the Greens increase as well. The Greens seem to be fairly well placed as far as integrity. So integrity is an overriding issue. Is this an opportunity for the Greens? Do you think we'll see disaffected Labor and disaffected voters go towards the Greens as the next option?
I think. Look, who can predict? Who has the crystal ball? But I think if we look at what happened in recent times with the federal election, if we use that as a pointer and a yardstick, then clearly there will be a certain element of voters, or a certain number of voters, who will go strongly with what we call loosely the Teals, which the climate, change and climate insisters, who are saying that we need to make a difference, and that's fair enough. And those inner city seats could be at risk. But who can tell? What I do know is that while there is a lot of street fighting going on between Labor and Liberal, the others are riding under the radar. So they're not getting questioned, they're not getting probed, they're not getting, their policies aren't being pressure tested. So as we get closer to the election, I would hope that some of this would die down and we actually see more media attention on what those parties are offering in terms of solid politics. There's no question that integrity is important. If you look at, we don't have to go back a long way to see that there was a commission where not one Labor person from the Andrews government could remember or could say who was in charge. I still find that extraordinary. It's not that far we have to go back to see that there are a lot of people that died in aged care facilities in Victoria. So if I were within the Liberal Party, I'd be looking at those integrity issues rather than internal. And I'd be trying to settle the horses and say, we've got a team now together. What happened in the last week happened. Let's push forward. Let's go forward. Be more positive. I think Matthew Guy did himself a lot of damage the other day when he went on the 3AW Tom Elliott program and couldn't answer the most basic of questions. You would have had to have known that those sort of probing questions about integrity were coming. Now, it's not enough to go on a program and then say, oh, I didn't know you were going to ask me that. I'm not going to answer it. So it would be like me coming on and you putting something directly to me and I said, I'm just point blank not going to answer. That's not an answer. So I think the Teals, for example, will have sway, even if they just look at the voting preferences. That can impact stuff. So, you know, there's still a lot to unpack within, you know, 3 or 4 months of the election.
It's a very interesting point you made there about the preferences with here in Victoria, with the ability for the parties to direct their preferences. We could actually, whose preferences are going to go where could well be, because it's about
who knows.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend. So
a very good quote. And there are a lot of people who are, you know, you look at the parties, there are a lot of people leaking within both sides, aren't there? But at the Libs, it seems that their ship's a little bit leakier this last fortnight than it has been for Labor. But there are people, self-interest within both parties, who would like to see them fail. And it's well documented who some of those people might be. So let's see where the preferences go. Let's see how it all unfolds. I do know this, the longer infighting goes on, the more damaging it becomes. So the challenge for the Liberals is to repair those leaks, get that ship back, to use the nautical analogy, start to steer the course. You know, there are some interesting times ahead, and they really need to all be pulling or rowing together, because if they're going to keep imploding, it's going to be a disaster.
All right, Steve Carey at 99% Cafe, supporting small business and trying to get the jump on my political announcement. Thanks so much for your time.
There you go. Thanks, mate. Take care.